Welcome to the Drew Rice Show, brought to you by Neighborhood Ford, from our neighborhood to yours. Neighborhood Ford in Irwin. I'm Marky Billson. Drew Rice, the Unicoi County Blue Devils, 6-1, already clinched first winning record in 22 years, which you've talked about a lot. At the beginning of the year, I know that many had Unicoi County as the favorite in 1-3A, but right now, have you been on track for your goals, do you think, in this season?
Yeah, I think so. The Happy Valley game, I think we'd all like to come, have that one back. But in the larger scheme of things, for us to be 6-1 and most importantly undefeated in the region, that's kind of our number one goal of the year was to win a region championship. So that still being right on the table for us is kind of what we were shooting for. And like I said, we've got some business to take care of, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, but that's still, certainly our goal. And, having the winning season, obviously, the last 3 years we went 5-5. So, to get over that hump, that was great. And, and hopefully we'll continue to, have some success there. But yeah, so we're pleased where we're at. And, for this time of year, I think we're relatively healthy for the most part. So, we're very thankful for that, and hopefully we can keep it going.
You mentioned the 1-3A championship. It seems likely, I'm even trying mathematically, and I can't really see how it wouldn't come down one way or the other to your game with Johnson County at the end of the month. But that's still 3 weeks away, 2 games and a bye week. So how do you prevent your team from looking ahead to Johnson County?
Well, this week's sort of been a little bit of a challenge, where we've been out of school, so our schedules, our normal routine of the week has kind of been off track. So we've been practicing in the mornings, and our guys have done a good, they've done a good job of showing up every day and working this week. But, non-region game, Friday night, and then, next week is West Green. So that's a game that, they got us last year, so I really don't think I don't worry too much about our guys overlooking them just because of the way that game went last year. So, like I said, this week certainly has been it's been different with us being out of school and everything else and kind of our normal routine being shaken up. But we've had a good week of practice, so we've got to play well this week, and then I think next week our guys will be ready to go.
Cody Lewis, just a junior, but rushing for 325 yards. It seems like he has an off day. 325 yards in his last game, I should say. Seems like he has an off day if he doesn't rush for 200 yards. How is college football in his future?
I think so. He's a legitimate 4.4 40. I mean that number gets thrown around a lot, but he's legitimate at that. So with that and with the way he runs and he's very elusive and his agility is very good. So he's going to it's his junior year, so the ACT and things like that he'll take this year will kind of be a big indicator as far as that stuff goes. But yeah, He's definitely got the ability. The question is just going to be, at what level, will he land? But yeah, he's a special talent, and like I said, it's just barely halfway through his junior season. So I still think he's got a whole lot of good football in front of him the rest of this year, and certainly his senior year. But it's going to be he's going to have some opportunities definitely.
This is generally when you get the letters. Actually, you've accumulated a scrapbook full of letters from various colleges when you're in Cody Lewis's boat. What are some of the colleges that have sent him those letters that say, we understand you're an outstanding football prospect?
Well, the thing, to be honest with you, ETSU's had him over a couple times, and so that sort of began with their recruitment of Brett, and they're still certainly very interested in Brett, and that we'll see. I think both of those guys are going to have the opportunity to play at that level, or equivalent level, I think. But we'll see. But as far as the recruiting goes, it's still sort of mainly focused with the 2019 class. These seniors, and they'll certainly begin the process of reaching out to these juniors, once the season kind of ends. But right now, I think most of them are kind of focused on, this year's signing class. And, like I said, I think Brett's going to have an opportunity to play somewhere as well. But, it's exciting, and those guys are going to have opportunities, and they've worked hard enough to put themselves in, in an opportunity to to be able to go and do that. But you know, we're proud of both of them, and they both work extremely hard, and you know, it's going to be exciting to see what happens with them.
Well, now you mentioned Brett Strother, and I know that he's talked to me, and he says, boy, I'd love to play at ETSU. I understand Tennessee Tech has been recruiting him. Because you told me that usually the FCS, that's generally done those commitments in December, maybe January. Why is that?
Well, the everybody wants, you know, the very, very, very top tier kid. You know, your guys you see on Rivals, you know, the 5 stars and 4 stars, and those guys have, you know, offers from everywhere. And then, you know, now with the early signing period in December, which they do that to get a lot of those guys on campus, you know, they come in January, you know, basically of their senior year in high school. So that's why that was put in. But what that does is, you know, once those first wave of, you know, big-time guys, the guys you see playing in the, you know, the All-American Bowls and, you know, all those things like that, once those guys are kind of off the table, well, now the FCS level kind of, in some even smaller Division I levels, say that, okay, well, these guys are gone, here's our next group of guys. And you know, I hope that's where Brett will land, is in that kind of second tier there, and I think when some of these schools, you know, don't get a kid or two that they planned on getting, you know, that's going to open up some opportunities for him. But you know, it's hard to say. And the good thing about Brett is, you know, he's got the grades to go with it. So I really think that he's going to be a very low risk option for a lot of schools, because he's going to, you know, put himself in such a good position with his academics. You know, he's got a 4.0 and a 28 ACT. So a lot of his academic stuff is really going to help him out there, I think.
Why not the Ivy League like Evan Ellis over at Elizabethton about a decade ago? Hey, Neighborhood Ford has this to say. We'll be back with the Drew Rice Show after this on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, WEMB Irwin. Back with the Drew Rice Show. We were talking a bit about recruiting. It's something that you know, Drew Rice, because you mentioned listed on Rivals. I remember when you were listed on Rivals. You were going to go to Appalachian State, wound up being Carson Newman. But what is it like from your memories on being recruited at the FCS level and ultimately going D2 to Carson Newman?
Well, you know, it's just, you know, through that, and Brett's already gotten to do this some, and Cody, I think, will certainly have the opportunity, and I think probably Brock will year after that, you know. But it's just something to enjoy. You know, you get a chance to go see some places and, you know, go to some different universities on a Saturday and watch a game and see their facilities and get brought in and, you know, meet the coaching staff and some of the players and, you know, and the people associated with the program. And it's just something to enjoy, you know, and it's something that not everybody has an opportunity to do. And, you know, like I said, whatever level, you know, it may be Division I, you know, FCS, Division II, NAIA, Division III, doesn't matter. I mean, it's still college football, and that's still an opportunity that most high school players never get the opportunity to do. So that's something I've really tried to talk to Brett a lot about is just, you know, wherever he ends up going, that he's, you know, he's going to have, you know, an opportunity to do that, and that's something that not a lot of high school players get to. So it's just something to be thankful for and just enjoy.
What is your role in this? I mean, I would think that you need to have some relationships with college coaches, be they Randy Sanders or Jeremy Pruitt or even Nick Saban and all that. Who are some of the major college coaches that maybe we'd know that you have some relationships with?
Well, I've sort of, you know, I've got a lot of connections. Obviously, I don't know if this would be considered major college or not, but I've got, you know, a lot of contacts at Carson Newman, obviously, and with ETSU starting back up, and, you know, Coach Whitehead, who's on our staff here, was actually on the ETSU staff the last 3 years as a GA. So, you know, we've got some good connections with ETSU staff, and Coach Rader, their offensive coordinator, he was actually here last week to check on Brett. So, you know, there's some local guys there, and, you know, after that, you know, as far as like the big, you know, SEC level and things like that, as far as a personal relationship, you know, I really don't have one. You know, that really comes from, you know, having kids that, you know, they're pursuing at that level, you know. But I think a lot of people don't really realize just how talented, you know, you've got to be to play in the SEC. I mean, I really think sure. It's just a whole nother level, you know. But be that as it may, but, you know, we've got some good connections, and you know, there's a couple guys on Tennessee Tech staff that I one of them I played with, and a couple of them we've just kind of met through the recruiting process. But you know, you meet people in this profession, and it's good to make contacts, and that can be a value when you're trying to help a kid get an opportunity. So.
I hate to think that we've been overlooking Unaka, but I think that we have. But then again, 1-5, a 1A program against a 6-1 3A program. Still, what scares you about Unaka?
Well, Coach Bennett does a great job there, and they've got a really talented quarterback. A kid that was All-State last year, and he throws it really well, and they do some good things with their offense. And I know their record's not great, but if you look, they've really they score a decent amount of points. They really do, especially considering where they were at a couple years ago. But we've prepared for them like we prepare every week. They show a ton of different formations, and we've lined up to every one of them this week, and we feel like we've had a good week of preparation, and our scout team has really done a good job of giving us a good look this week, and I think we're prepared. And like I said, records aside, that they have our respect, and we've prepared accordingly.
That's the Drew Rice Show, brought to you by Neighborhood Ford. You're listening to 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, back with the kickoff on WEMB Irwin.